Wait, so the reservation for 5 including the dog is correct, right? The words of my son's wife, Mia, at the front desk of the spa resort on New Year's Eve froze me in place. Yeah, that's right. My son, John Jr., replied with a smirk. Wait a minute, I'm allergic to dogs. That's why you'll have a separate room, Mother, Mia said with a malicious grin. Just then, a low, stern voice reverberated through the lobby. Don't you dare disrespect her, you brat! My usually mild-mannered husband, John Sr.'s voice boomed across the quiet lobby. That day in the lobby of a luxurious spa resort, our family's life was drastically altered. But to understand how we got to that point, we need to rewind a bit. My name is Sarah, and I'm 60 years old. My husband, John Sr., worked as an executive for a shipping company and was rarely home. He was highly regarded at his company, quickly rising to an executive position in his 30s. However, that meant he was rarely home, only returning a few times a year for, at most, 3 days at a time. I was lonely, but I wanted to support my husband's career. Knowing you're here for me allows me to focus on my work. His words were my pillar of strength. As a result, I ended up raising our son, John Jr., mostly on my own. Until elementary school, John Jr.'s upbringing seemed to be going smoothly. I praised him when he got good grades and diligently took him to his extracurricular activities. I poured my love into raising him, keeping in mind my husband's words that he didn't want our son to experience any hardship. However, things started to change when he entered middle school. Why is my allowance so little? My friends get more. But that's too much. You are acting so high and mighty with the money Dad's earning. His rebellious phase had begun and his retorts became more frequent with each passing day. At the time, I thought this was still within the normal range of parenting. But when he entered high school, John Jr.'s demands escalated. Dad said it was okay, so buy me a new motorcycle. That's too dangerous. What does a stay-at-home mom who's never worked know anyway? He would throw insults whenever I tried to reason with him, and if I tried to set limits, he would go directly to his father. John Sr., being away from home, was completely unaware of the actual situation and trusted our son's words blindly. He probably thought John Jr. was just being a bit spoiled. John Jr. had stopped listening to anything I said. After he turned 20, I decided I needed to be stricter, but John Jr.'s resistance far exceeded my expectations. If you don't give me money, I won't come home anymore. He would often stay out for days on end, worried I would eventually give in and give him money. Gradually, a strong sense of resignation took over me. I started to think that giving in to his demands was easier than dealing with his rebellion. As a result, John Jr. grew up without ever experiencing any real hardship. Even after entering the workforce, he couldn't hold down a job, and he regularly asked me for money every month. He would quit his jobs within 3 months. I didn't like the boss at that company. The work was boring. I want to find something I'm truly passionate about. He would come up with all sorts of excuses, and each time his father would tell me over the phone to let him try different things while he was young. I ended up being the one to deal with the aftermath of John Jr.'s actions. Yet John Jr. would say to me, a stay-at-home mom, I don't want to hear it from someone who's never worked. I wanted to work outside the home too, but I have remained a homemaker all these years because my husband believed a wife's place was in the home. The person John Jr. married 2 years ago, after never growing out of his spoiled ways, was Mia. Their encounter took place at a high-end brand name store. Mom, I want you to meet the person I'm going to marry. It was a sudden announcement. Mia worked at a luxury brand store in the city and seemed to have a good reputation among customers. Apparently, she was also popular on social media, where she posted daily selfies and outfit photos that garnered a lot of attention. John Jr. met Mia when he went to buy a suit at the luxury brand store, using the money he had wheedled out of me, claiming he needed it for a job interview. It was love at first sight. I fell for her while she was helping me pick out a suit. Mia was also active on social media in her private time, in addition to her customer service duties at the store, and had a large following. It seemed that she had actively pursued John Jr. after learning that his family was well off. I was initially worried because John Jr. had been hopping from job to job, had a gambling habit, and was generally irresponsible with money, often asking me for money to buy luxury brand items. No matter how wealthy his family was, I couldn't understand why Mia would choose to marry John Jr. given his lifestyle at 33. I wondered if she was unaware of John Jr.'s true situation, but that didn't seem to be the case. I told Mia everything about my job situation, my money problems, everything. I was drawn to John Jr.'s kindness. Besides, I want us to work hard together from now on. Hearing Mia's words and seeing her gentle smile, I was instantly put at ease. She knew about John Jr.'s extravagant spending habits and still chose to marry him. I thought that meant she truly loved him. Of course, I figured she was probably also attracted to the prospect of a comfortable life. In fact, after their engagement was finalized, her behavior often suggested that. John's father is an executive at a really impressive company, isn't he? Are there a lot of wealthy people in this area? I'd love to live in a luxury apartment after we're married. These were the kinds of topics she frequently brought up. There were even rumors on social media that she was a gold digger, but she didn't seem to care. Instead, she would often brag to her friends, saying things like, "I'm so lucky to be marrying into such a wonderful family." So at first, I thought she was a nice, albeit materialistic girl. "You have such a lovely home, Mother. You have great taste." When Mia tasted my cooking, she said, "This is delicious. Please teach me the recipe." She was always attentive. But within a year of their marriage, Mia became pregnant and the situation changed. And at such a time, of all times, John Jr. quit his job again. That company just wasn't the right fit for me. I want to find something I'm truly passionate about. "It's okay, honey. I'll work." "Mother, this house is quite spacious, isn't it?" The house John Sr. had built was indeed large, with plenty of spare rooms, so we agreed to let the couple move in with us. But that was the beginning of a nightmare. Soon after they moved in, Mia's true colors started to show. Once, when I was doing laundry for the two of them, I overheard this conversation. "Mother is so stingy. She doesn't even use fabric softener. She claims she has sensitive skin." Yeah, I don't really get it either. I do have sensitive skin and prefer to avoid strong scents, which is why I use unscented laundry products. I later found out that Mia had been spreading rumors about me being stingy, not just to John Jr., but to our neighbors as well. I also overheard her complaining about the housework, so I told her that if she didn't like the way I did things, she was welcome to do them herself. Mia then feigned suffering, claiming, "My morning sickness is so bad I can barely do any chores, and yet she expects me to do housework." But she never missed a beat when it came to her social media posts. Even after her morning sickness subsided, she would post things like, "My mother-in-law is so amazing, doing all the chores perfectly so I can focus on work. Thank you so much." She presented a facade of gratitude, but I knew she was bad-mouthing me to the neighbors and online, making fun of me for being a stay-at-home mom. However, she never voiced any complaints directly to my face. To make matters worse, she started keeping a dog, despite knowing I was allergic. Posts with dogs get so much engagement on social media. This will definitely boost my follower count, she said, completely disregarding my allergies. The dog was poorly trained and wreaked havoc in the house. Strangely, even my room, which I always kept closed, would be in disarray. When I asked them to at least keep the dog out of my room, Mia would say, "Oh, poor Coco. How could you be so mean as to lock this sweet puppy out of your room?" They offered no solutions. It seemed like they were deliberately letting the dog into my room to spite me. Even when my allergy symptoms flared up and I was constantly coughing, they would dismiss it. "You're overreacting. It's not that bad. She probably just hates dogs and is pretending to be allergic." "Yeah, Mom. Family is family. You should try to get over it. If it's really that bad, go see a doctor. Medicine can fix anything, right?" It's not that simple. Ugh, stay-at-home moms are so clueless. You don't even understand basic things. They would laugh off my suffering. Those days were filled with constant stress and discomfort. Then one day I received an unexpected call from my husband. "I'll be coming home next week." "What?" "They're bringing forward my transfer. They want the younger generation to take over the company." He had a few months left until he turned 65, but he had decided to retire a bit earlier. "I've been away from home for too long. I want to spend more time with you." His gentle words brought tears to my eyes. But at the same time, I was worried. John Sr. was oblivious to the current state of our household, John Jr. and Mia's behavior, and the dog situation. I missed my chance to tell him everything over the phone, and before I knew it, he was home. "I'm home," he said, bashfully handing me a souvenir. I thought we could finally enjoy some quiet time together, just the two of us. But then, "Welcome home, Father. Let's all have dinner together." "I have something I want to discuss with you, Dad." Our son and his wife interrupted our moment. "Of course, I want to see my grandchild too. Let's have a family dinner tonight," he said with a smile. That night, John Jr. and Mia went out of their way to flatter their father. "You look so young, Father. You could still be working." "Hey, Dad, could you maybe introduce me to some people at your company?" Their motives were transparent. John Sr. watched them quietly, a thoughtful expression on his face. After returning home, my husband gradually started noticing things that were off. I feel like I've been smelling a dog in the house lately. I was about to explain, but Mia cut me off. Oh, that's our dog, Coco. Isn't he cute? Since John Sr.'s return, they have been keeping the dog out of sight, waiting for the right moment to introduce him. To my surprise, they brought the dog and introduced him to my husband. Look, Coco, say hi to Grandpa. Sarah is allergic to dogs, he said, frowning. Mom's exaggerating. She says it's not that bad. John Sr. remained silent, though a slight frown creased his brow. However, he did notice my constant coughing at night and expressed his concern. Are you feeling okay? Yes, I'm fine. Mine wasn't my forte, but I didn't want to worry him, especially after he had just returned home. One morning, my husband asked me with a puzzled look, Sarah, why is there dog hair in our bedroom? Just then, Mia came down the stairs and said, loud enough for all of us to hear, Oh, I'm so sorry. Coco just loves your room, Mother. My husband's expression darkened noticeably. A few days later, my husband made an unexpected proposition without saying anything to our son and daughter-in-law. Let's go to a spa for the New Year holidays. A family trip? It had been years since we had taken one. I couldn't even remember the last time we had all gone somewhere together. I want to make up for all the time I was away, but the baby is still small. It might be a bit too much for the baby. Then let's make it a trip for two. We need some time alone. His words warmed my heart, but Mia, who had been eavesdropping on our conversation in the living room, quickly interjected. Oh, that's not fair. We haven't taken a trip with the baby yet, either. It would be reassuring to have you with us, Father. Yeah, Dad. You'd love to spend time with your grandchild, right? Mom thinks so too, don't you? I didn't have the courage to object. All right, if that's what you want. I reluctantly agreed, and seeing my defeated expression, my husband nodded as well. Great, then it's settled. Leave the reservations to me. I know a spa resort that's been trending on social media. Yeah, Mom, you would know how to book something like that online anyway. My husband frowned at his son's words, but remained silent. That night, my husband asked me with a worried tone, Sarah, are you sure you're okay with them coming along? Yes, it'll be nice to go as a family, I said, forcing a smile. I was actually quite anxious, but I didn't want to ruin the relationship between my husband and our son. As the day of the reservation approached, Mia's behavior became increasingly strange. She would spend hours on the phone, whispering, and she was meticulously preparing photos for her social media posts. Father, Mother, we'll head over there first by car. We have a lot of luggage, you see. They insisted on taking a separate car, claiming they had too much luggage. They said they had booked the dog into a pet hotel, and I figured they wanted to make a detour somewhere before heading to the resort. On the day of our trip, our son and daughter-in-law arrived at the luxurious spa resort before us. As we approached the front desk, Mia, with a smug look on her face, declared, Wait, so the reservation for 5, including the dog, is correct, right? Hearing those words, my blood ran cold. Yeah, that's right. My son replied with a smirk. Wait a minute, I'm allergic to dogs. That's why you have a separate room, Mother. It's not a problem, she said with a condescending smile. The luxurious lobby of the spa resort, with its glittering chandeliers, suddenly felt suffocating. My son and daughter-in-law's attitudes seemed even more pronounced in such a setting. Just then a low, stern voice reverberated through the lobby. Don't you dare disrespect her, you brat! The voice was unlike anything I had ever heard from my husband before. Low, cold, and filled with barely suppressed rage. Waves of anger seemed to radiate from his body, making the atmosphere in the lobby grow heavy. I had only ever known my husband to be gentle and kind, so this sudden change in demeanor startled me. The once tranquil lobby of the spa resort was instantly filled with a palpable tension. Other guests waiting to check in noticed the unusual atmosphere and discreetly moved away. Dad, what's wrong? Their voices trembled, a stark contrast to their usual arrogant tones. Confusion and fear replaced their haughty expressions. How dare you? Do you have any idea how much Sarah has endured because of you two? My husband, after politely bowing to the front desk staff, ushered our son and daughter-in-law to a nearby lounge area. Mia's hands trembled as she sat on the sofa, and John Jr. nervously shifted his gaze around the room. You knew she was allergic and still got a dog. And not only that, you deliberately let it into her room, causing her so much distress. Although my husband's voice was low, each word was heavy with anger and pierced through the silence like a sharp knife. It was the same commanding tone he used to use with his subordinate, now directed at our son and daughter-in-law. But we didn't. Mia's voice shook, her usual arrogance gone, replaced by a whimper like a scolded child. "Shut up." Dog hair was scattered all over Sarah's bedding. "You think I wouldn't notice?" My husband took out his smartphone and showed them Mia's social media posts. He read aloud in a chillingly calm voice. "My stay-at-home mother-in-law can't even do housework properly, but since I married into a rich family, I can't complain. I guess I just have to put up with it. You thought I wouldn't find out?" Mia's face turned ashen, her smug expression completely gone. That was just a joke." "Shut up." "Dad, there's no need to yell like that. You're even worse. You made fun of your own mother and chased after this woman." John Jr.'s attempts at defending himself only made my husband angrier. "But Mom was treating us like we were in the way too." The air in the lounge seemed to freeze for a moment. My husband glared at our son and took a step closer. "In the way? You're living in our house and you have the audacity to say that?" "But Mother—" Mia tried to interject, her voice trembling, but my husband cut her off with a cool stare. "I've heard enough." A heavy silence filled the room as my husband slowly stood up. He returned to the front desk and spoke to the staff, bowing apologetically. "Excuse me, could we change your reservation to a room with a private open-air bath? And please cancel the reservation for our son and his wife." Hearing this, our son rushed towards the front desk in a panic. "Wait, what about us? Where are we supposed to go?" "Go home. You can just drive back. It's simple, isn't it?" My husband's cool tone made John Jr.'s face turn pale. "But we have the baby with us." "You're the parents. You should be able to take care of your own child." Mia stood there dumbfounded, clutching her luggage. "But Coco was so excited about his first overnight trip. Don't you feel sorry for him?" "You are responsible for your own pet. You were the ones who broke the agreement to leave him at a pet hotel." I couldn't help but pull on my husband's sleeve. "Oh dear, that's enough. It's not right to just send them away like this. Sarah, they've been taking advantage of your kindness. I'm sorry, I should have come home sooner." My husband gently took my hand and smiled. His warmth brought back all the painful memories of the past few years. "All right, let's enjoy our spa trip, just the two of us." "Wait, Mom, say something!" My son desperately tried to grab my sleeve, his hand as warm as it was when he was a child. But I couldn't defend him anymore. My husband quietly brushed his hand away. "Don't rely on your mother. Take care of your own wife and child. This is unbelievable. I was so looking forward to taking photos for my social media." Her words made the atmosphere in the lobby even colder. My husband gave Mia a chilling glare. "Photos? Then why don't you post this on your social media? This is what happens when you hurt your family. How about that?" Mia was left speechless, simply standing there, frozen and pale. "Just go home quietly. I'm very disappointed in both of you." In the heavy silence, our son and daughter-in-law reluctantly gathered their things. My heart was filled with mixed emotions, but I also felt a sense of relief. That night, my husband and I enjoyed a long-awaited trip alone, just the two of us. Without having to worry about my allergies, I was able to fully relax in the private open-air bath attached to our room. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry for making you go through all of this." "It's okay. I'm just happy you're back." My husband looked at me with a serious expression from across the bath. "But this isn't over. I won't let them get away with how they've treated you. We need to put an end to their spoiled behavior." His words marked the beginning of our new life together. After enjoying a relaxing time with no interruptions, we returned home in my husband's car. The ride was quiet and comfortable. As I gazed out the window, I thought about our son and his wife. Do you think that was the right thing to do? They need time to reflect. I might have been a bit harsh, but it should cool their heads. I nodded slightly, but a part of me still felt uneasy. I wasn't sure if this would truly make them change their ways. When we got home and got out of the car, we heard noises coming from inside the house. A sense of dread washed over me as we rushed inside. The scene that greeted us was horrifying. My room had been completely ransacked. The bedding was torn, clothes were scattered all over the floor, and dog feces were smeared everywhere. On the living room table, we found printouts of social media posts. We were kicked out of the spa resort by my unreasonable mother-in-law, but we won't let it get us down. #resilient, #family first. The post had already been shared numerous times, and the number of likes was rapidly increasing. "What the?" my husband muttered, his voice low. Just then we heard more noises from upstairs, followed by the sound of a baby crying. We looked towards the stairs and saw our son and daughter-in-law rushing down. Mia was holding the baby and John Jr. was carrying the dog. Calling the police? That's a bit much, don't you think? We were humiliated at that resort, too. This is just a little payback. That's right, I even declared on social media that I was going to stay at that spa. Think about how embarrassed I was in front of my followers, and with the baby too. My husband silently took out his phone and started taking pictures. The trashed room, the scattered dog feces, the torn bedding, everything. Don't bother, it was probably Mom who snitched on us anyway. Dad used to be so nice. Yeah, I bet she's still holding a grudge because I made fun of her for being a stay-at-home mom. Enough, you two. Get out of this house right now. Dad, try to be reasonable. Mom, say something. A surge of long-suppressed emotions erupted within me. Something to say? You're right, I do. I've been too lenient with you two, which is why I'm going to be very clear now. Our son and daughter-in-law looked at me in surprise, probably because they had never heard me speak so forcefully before. Get out and don't ever come back. What? Mom, are you serious? You two took advantage of my patience, and if you want to show off to your social media followers, go ahead and post this too. I took out my smartphone. I had actually been recording all of their outrageous behavior. I had footage of them letting the dog into my room despite knowing about my allergy, of them forcing me to take care of the baby in the middle of the night while they went out, and even of them taking money from my purse without permission. Mia's face turned pale. If you don't leave now, I'm calling the police. Or should I just show your followers the real you? Mom, I'm not your mother anymore. Get out. Wait, where are we supposed to go? That's for you to figure out. Don't come crawling back to me like you always do. And so, a week after we kicked out our son and daughter-in-law, I checked Mia's social media. We were kicked out of our house after the spa incident. But we won't let the pressure of a toxic in-law get us down. #new life, #happiness despite hardship. However, things didn't go as Mia had planned. She had hoped to gain sympathy by posting about the hardships I supposedly put her through, but the public didn't buy it. If someone is allergic to dogs, you shouldn't take your dog on a trip with them without asking first. It's common sense. You should have told them about the dog beforehand if you were going to bring it along on a trip with someone who has a dog allergy. The comment section was filled with criticism. Panicked, Mia tried to defend herself. My mother-in-law is just acting. She's lying about the dog allergy. In response, a follower claiming to be a doctor refuted her claims. Calling someone's allergy symptoms acting is a form of harassment and a violation of their human rights. Allergies are a serious medical condition that can be life-threatening. Mia's misguided attempts at damage control only added fuel to the fire. I'm a popular sales associate at a well-known store. Don't you think this kind of criticism is unreasonable? So you work in customer service and you're still inconsiderate of people's medical conditions? Being ignorant about allergies as a salesperson is scary. Our store would never hire someone like that. The backlash continued to grow, eventually leading to the identification of the brand Mia worked for. Complaints flooded the brand's customer service, and Mia's reputation as a popular sales associate quickly crumbled. It seemed she had also posted about being called in by her store manager and informed that her contract would not be renewed, expressing her dissatisfaction. Her follower count plummeted, and her status as an influencer was completely destroyed. Then Mia suddenly initiated a divorce with John Jr. She claimed she was now involved with a man who lived near her parents' home and that they planned to get married. She also said that this new man had agreed to let her take their child with her. I was fooled by that woman. She was seeing another guy even before we got married. I've finally come to my senses. Let me come home. Of course, I ignored his message. It seemed like things wouldn't work out with our new partner either. After learning about the online scandal, the man broke off their engagement and Mia started living with her parents as a single mother. She was now working multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet, as she wrote on her social media. Her social media following had dwindled to almost nothing. As for John Jr., he ended up moving from one friend's place to another until he finally found lodging in the living quarters of a casino where he also worked. A photo sent to me by a friend showed a drastically changed John Jr. He looked haggard, dressed in worn-out clothes with messy hair, a far cry from the image he once projected, clad in luxury brands. Now he wore clothes from discount stores and mostly ate instant noodles. Mom, I'm really sorry. Please, can you lend me some money? Just a little is fine. I received messages like this from him countless times, but after discussing it with my husband, I decided to ignore them all. After moving into a large house and living a life of luxury, my son was now in a tiny room pinching pennies. He had apparently borrowed money from his old friends and was eventually abandoned by them when he couldn't pay them back. as evidenced by the desperate messages he sent trying to elicit sympathy. Still, I ignored his pleas. Then one day I received a call from the police. It turned out that John Jr. had been caught trying to steal money from the cash register at his workplace during his shift and had gotten into trouble with the police. He somehow managed to avoid being formally charged, but he was fired from his job. Once again, John Jr. was left without a place to live. Serves him right, my husband said, his voice devoid of any sympathy. I felt the same way. Perhaps this was the consequence of spoiling him for all those years. Naturally, I didn't let him back into our home. A year after that incident, I stopped keeping track of John Jr. and Mia's whereabouts. As for my husband and me, our lives have become more fulfilling than I ever could have imagined. My husband now jogs with me every morning. We do radio calisthenics at a nearby park and buy fresh vegetables on our way home. What are you going to make for us today? I never knew how wonderful it was to see my husband's smiling face every day. We also started taking cooking classes together, which has been a lot of fun. I would carefully watch my husband's serious expression as he chopped vegetables next to me. Sarah, is this okay? Wow, you've gotten so good. On weekends, my husband immersed himself in his new hobby, building model ships. He seemed to have a knack for detailed work. Hey Sarah, take a look at this water line. The model ships he meticulously crafted looked incredibly realistic. To support his hobby, I converted the second-floor room into a dedicated workshop for him. Going on spa trips as a couple has also become one of our favorite pastimes. Next time, let's enjoy the snowy scenery while soaking in an open-air bath. I can't wait. Our conversations, just the two of us, are always filled with warmth and tenderness. The other day, my husband suggested we take up a new hobby together. What do you think about ballroom dancing? Do you think I can do it? Of course, we can learn together. Now we attend a dance class once a week. Though our steps are a little bit clumsy, the time we spend dancing hand in hand is the happiest part of my week. Our house has also become much brighter and more cheerful. We now have seasonal flowers adorning our entrance, and our living room is decorated with photos of the two of us. For my last birthday, my husband surprised me with a homemade cake. I'm glad I took those cooking classes. My clumsy husband's thoughtfulness brought tears to my eyes. Next month, we're planning to start volunteering together. We're looking forward to participating in community cleanup activities and assisting the elderly, finding ways to give back to society as a couple. Thank you, Sarah. For what? For giving us this time together, just the two of us. His words filled my heart with warmth. I now understand what true happiness is. Every new morning brings us closer, deepening our bond. I want to continue living peacefully, supporting each other every step of the way. Happiness was probably always within reach. It just took me a little while to realize it. Now we're truly starting a new chapter in our lives. During a recent local summer festival, we had an unexpected encounter. We met another couple who, like us, were enjoying their retirement years. The wife was a skilled cook and immediately hit it off with me, while her husband shared my husband's passion for building model ships. I never thought I'd meet someone who shares my hobby so passionately. I'm so happy to have someone to talk to about cooking. Since then, we started having monthly dinner gatherings. While the husbands immerse themselves in conversations about their model ships, the wives and I prepare delicious meals together. We're even planning a trip together next month, just the four of us. My husband chose the same spa resort we went on our honeymoon, booking it for the peak autumn foliage season. This time we'll enjoy the spas without any interruptions. I'm looking forward to it. Our circle of friends has expanded, making our retirement days even more fulfilling. We've taken up pottery classes together, visited nearby art museums, and last week we even tried our hand at baking bread. The not-so-perfect loaves of bread we baked had us in stitches. Sarah, our life is just beginning. My husband's words ring true. Every day is filled with new discoveries, and the time we spend together has become an invaluable treasure. Starting next month, we're embarking on a new adventure. We'll be teaching a baking class for seniors at the local community center. With your skills, Sarah, you'll be a great teacher. The thought of sharing what I learned in cooking classes with others fills me with excitement. My husband will be assisting me as a co-instructor. The recipes we've developed together have already received rave reviews. Our new friends have also signed up for the class, further expanding our social circle. Each new connection brings new joys and experiences. Maybe we should travel abroad next year. Yes, there are so many places I want to see. We have so many dreams yet to fulfill, places to explore, and challenges to conquer. Our life together will continue to shine brightly. Hand in hand, we will create countless precious moments. May this happiness last forever.